Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And, Lord willing, this will be pretty brief and straight to the point, but this is an interesting video here. This was, apparently this was a TikTok that was done by Cudahy Vice Mayor's Vice Mayor, and I think it'll say her name later on. But she pretty much, as it says here, calls on cholos to defend the streets. And when you look them up, like as cholos, I think it's just like a reference to like local street gangs, and I think it's more like targeted to like Mexican gangs and like Latin American gangs and so on. But pretty much that's what I found when I looked it up. And so when you look here, right, it says here, Los Angeles calls are growing for Cudahy. I think that's how it's pronounced. Hopefully I'm not terribly wrong on that. Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez, to resign over a controversial video where she summons local gang members to defend their territories against ICE agents. And recall that we mentioned this right before that with the riots you were seeing in LA as an example, which, you know, that popped up in the headlines. It looked like it died down, but, you know, that's not going to be the last we hear of that. With those, you know, you saw people, you know, the bricks came back, right? The police were using the crowd control mechanisms, the rubber bullets and so on. And, you know, some people did get hurt, right? And I think that there was, I think it was a No Kings protest. It was that somebody got shot. I don't think it was by law enforcement, but somebody did get shot apparently. So, but with cases like that, it's still to a degree controlled, right? And that's mostly the people have rocks, you know, they're throwing things right at the police, but the police have riot gear, right? They have actual, you know, weapons. The difference though is if you were to have situations like that where you had gang members, because think about it, why is she calling for gang members? Because they have weapons, right? But if you were to have situations like that where now you start to have these gangs engaging with these ICE agents or federal law enforcement in certain areas and neighborhoods, that is where, you know, you might possibly see a uncontrolled situation, because now you're dealing with lethal weapons. Right? If ICE comes in there and then in a situation like this erupts and say like a gang member shoots, you know, fatally wounds an ICE agent, that's going to be, you know, a real big issue, right? So it says here in quotes, where all the cholos at? What we know, and this is, I guess, a new format for Fox News, but it says here, I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. And I'll play the video after this. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Now that your hood is being invaded by the biggest gang there ain't a peep out of you. Don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing, if you're not showing up right now, trying to help out and organize. Help out and organize. Gonzalez said in the now deleted TikTok video. Don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing, Gonzalez says, if you're not showing up right now, trying to help out and organize. I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone. And when you read in the book of Second Esdras, right, it talks about this. In Second Esdras, the 15th chapter, it talks about one people standing up and fighting against another with swords in their hands, right, which are weapons, right? It talks about sedition among men. And, you know, whether you look at it that way or not, making calls like this can be perceived as that, right? Because the ICE agents are under federal authority, right? Or this operation to do this, right? And so by calling for pretty much like an uprising against that, that is going against that central authority, which can be considered that. Now, this isn't the only event, though slightly different. You had a video, I think I did a video on it, but you had this this, I forget what state she was in. I don't know if it was New York or where. I forget what state it was, and I forget what position she was in. But she was basically asking the police or the sheriff. Once again, I forget his position, but she was asking him, "Yo, can't you guys use some form of like AI or some technology to basically notify citizens or the city that ICE is on their way, so that they can then whether give the heads up to people or whatever the case is." And he's like, "No, I can't do that. That's obstructing the job that they need to do. You might want to talk to whoever else about that." But these are like patterns going to show you the division, but the resistance as well, not from just the people, but now from like state levels, right? From like people in certain higher offices, like certain mayors, certain governors, and so on. So the more that divide deepens, right? We know the scriptures talk about that division and different. When Ezra said, right, one people shall stand up to fight against another, you have it. You have divisions by race. You have divisions by political, divide, and many reasons. But we're starting to see that political divide more and more, and it's really a steeper divide that you're starting to see, to the point where like people are suggesting and sort of hinting at, yo, just straight defy it, and the Lord is doing that for a reason. Okay, it's to fulfill prophecy. Let me see here. Whoever is the leadership over there, just get your F members in order, she allegedly said towards the end of the video, which was shared publicly last week before it was deleted. Several Facebook comments on her page were also deleted, as Gonzalez confirmed she was under investigation by federal, the FBI. Gonzalez allegedly wrote, "I need a lawyer. The FBI just came to my house," adding, "It was about a TikTok that I made that went viral." Literally a TikTok. So, and yeah, they don't play with that. They do not play with that. In another post, Gonzalez allegedly wrote that she believes this is a First Amendment rights issue. Now, when you look at this, matter of fact, let me just play the video real quick.
This is 18th Street.
Let's go.
This is Florencia. You guys tag everything up. Controversial video where the vice mayor of Cudahy is facing calls to resign. The vice mayor of Cudahy is facing calls to resign over a controversial video where she calls for local gang members to defend their territories against ICE agents. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. Cynthia Gonzalez shared that post last week, but has since deleted it, along with Facebook posts in which she writes about needing a lawyer, adding that the FBI came to her house. Federal sources telling Fox News they are looking into the video. Meanwhile, Gonzalez is facing criticism from the mayor of nearby Huntington Park.
She's a personal friend. I know her. I know that she wouldn't call for violence. Words are important, and so you have to be very careful about what you say and how you say it.
Vice Mayor has not returned our calls for comment. The city of Cudahy has released a statement saying they're aware of recent comments made by Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez on social media. The comments made by the Vice Mayor reflect her personal views and do not represent the views or official position of the city of Cudahy. New reaction from the union representing LAPD officers regarding this as well. The Los Angeles Police Protective League slammed Gonzalez, saying her remarks put law enforcement at risk. The union released a statement that reads in part, quote, "Her actions are deplorable and potentially illegal. She should resign and she should be prosecuted if what she called for broke the law."
So, that's what you got. What you got going on, and once again, it's always hold on a second. Let's calm down with that. So it's important to look at the bigger picture here, right, and what's going on. These are one-off events, right? Not one-off events, but like one event here, one event there, one event here. When you look at the bigger picture, as we've been saying for years, everything is going downhill, right? As in, it's leading to a climactic point, right? It's leading to the uh, uh, the boiling point, okay? And something is gonna give. It's not gonna be always like, oh, this mayor said this, yo, that's crazy. That's kind of borderline that. You had that I don't know why I always forget the locations of these places, but anyway, yeah, some body in a law enforcement authority, as they were giving a press conference and they were warning people that they would shoot them dead if they basically threatened the life of any of the law enforcement agents. So, like I said, as the scriptures say, really, eventually it's gonna get to the point where that's gonna break forth, right? That's gonna happen, and when it does, that's gonna be a line that cannot be uncrossed. Okay, and what that means is it's happened, right? You can't undo that, and whatever it sort of brings along with it, especially with somebody like Trump in office, you know, that's going to be a interesting time. But anyway, I wanted to bring this out. This is Luke 11:17, and this was Yahweh Shai speaking, right? But it says here, but he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And we're looking at a kingdom divided against itself right now. And a house divided against a house falleth. So this statement Yahweh Shai said, we're seeing how true it is even until now. The once, great America that everybody looked at, the United States of America, and here it is really the divided states of America, right? And the Lord is doing all of that. And eventually it's going to get to the point where, as it says in 2nd Ezra, let me get that real quick, in the 6th chapter, 2nd Ezra 6, that friends shall fight one against another like enemies, right? Times are going to get so tough, things are going to become, so hard, so scarce, people are going to become so desperate that, it's going to lead to these kinds of events. Where is it at? Let me actually start at verse 18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. So what does that tell us? That tells us that the things we're about to read here will be signs of the Lord drawing near and visiting those that dwell upon the earth. And that's everybody. And will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. And Zion representing Israel, that affliction representing our captivity, coming to an end, right? Being fulfilled and coming to an end. Now I want to jump down. Here we go, verse 24. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. And when you read up above, it talks about the storehouses being found empty, right? The sown places being unsown, the trumpet giving a sound that makes people afraid. So in the midst of that troublous time, people are going to become desperate. There's going to be a lot of division. And as it says, friends shall fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. So the entire, the planet is going to be plagued with the judgment the Lord is going to bring in different ways, in different parts. All right. It says here, the springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Lock here. So it says here, and in 3 hours they shall not run, right? Which is going into the lack of water, right? Because that's what the fountain, the springs, right, of the fountains. And then it goes on right into, the other points in here. But the main point here is that friends fighting one against another like enemies, right? Going back into that point of division, similar to what is written in Isaiah 19:2. So we're seeing these prophecies, walking up. They're not creeping up. They're walking up in real time. And it's very apparent because we can identify, right, what's happening. But to the people of the world, to them, it's, you know, it's just unfortunate events that just so seem to be happening, right? And that's why it's not that big of a deal to them, because they don't see what it's really related to, right? To them, once again, it's still just, here's an example, right? And I'll close it on this. If you have a doctor or a nurse or a neuroscientist or somebody that's an expert at a certain field, and I'm using health here because I think it suits the example best. When they see symptoms, they know exactly what it means. So when they see, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out some things here, right? Vomiting or lightheaded or and certain symptoms coupled together, right? One, and then there's this, and then there's that. They know immediately what that is. And maybe it's something fatal, maybe it's something very dangerous, maybe it's a sign of some really bad health problem that can ensue or that will ensue. And so their reaction to that is going to be different than somebody who is not in that field, who doesn't know those things, right? Though they may hear the same thing, they may see the same thing. You see this all the time. The I don't know, I'll give you a scene. There's the family, right? And then there's the I don't know, health expert, practitioner, whatever the case is, and they see the news, they read the vitals, they read the charts, whatever it is. There's a different reaction, right? The family's kind of confused. To them, it's just like, what's wrong? Like, I don't see why a headache would be such a big deal, right? Or they just said that their stomach was hurting, so why is that such a big deal? Maybe they read that, they see the MRI reports. I don't know. I'm throwing things out there right now, but the people who are not experts in those fields don't understand why it's a big deal. To them, it's another thing that just happened, and let's try to fix it. But an expert in that field would know, maybe it's a brain tumor, maybe it's in a certain part of the brain that cannot be operated on, and it's like a non-operable, thing, so it can be fixed. Maybe it's a terminal illness. They can see that right away, so their reaction is different. It's a big deal immediately, and across the board it's a big deal, but they can tell that much earlier than the others. So why did I give that example? Because it's similar to what's going on here. When we see these things happening around the world, right, between different countries, Israel, Iran, U.S., and all those, the tensions rising there, and we see the things that are happening within these different countries on the side of infrastructural developments, technological advancements, subdermal implants, and all of these things, and we see the rising up of the people, the protests, the riots. These are the symptoms, right, that are tied together, and we can tell by that what the illness is, and we know that it's a big deal. So that's why when we see these things, we're like, oh wow, that's crazy. But then somebody else is like, bruh, it's just a headache, or bruh, that's just, it happens, what's the big deal? But very soon they're gonna see the big deal. All right, that's when the doctor explains to them, and they're like, oh my gosh, no, I can't believe that, and then so on. All right, but that's pretty much what's happening. So, definitely Barakatha Yahweh Ba'Hasham Yahawashi, that he has opened up our minds and allowed us to see the signs of the times that we're in, because then that allows us to move a certain kind of way that is going to be beneficial for us. Lord willing, the Lord has mercy upon us and our loved ones in these evil days to come. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hasham Yahawashi, Ba'Hasham Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.